Hello, sumo fans. I hope it is recording. I get paranoid every single time. It looks like it's recording, so I'll just wait a few minutes and see if anybody shows up, and that will prove whether or not this is actually live. Okay, so some of you, if you're keeping up with my posts, you'll know that I have been woefully behind this sumo tournament. I don't even know what day it is. I'm like, what day is this sumo tournament? Is it day 10? Oh yeah, 8 and 2. It must be day 10. Okay. Yeah. I see a comment from Monster, so that's good. That means this is actually going out into the masses. And I will read your comment, and then I'll go through today's day 10 events, and then we are going to get into our topic of the night, which is this era of sumo. So Monster says, I'm going to keep it simple. My guy Chiyo Shoma got injured. The Yokozuna are injured. I don't like this basho. Yeah, I can understand. This one's a little painful. But something very interesting is going to happen by the end of this. For sure. The Emperor has ruined everything. That is one way to actually look at this. The Emperor hasn't come in a while and things have gone very bad, but they've gone very good for some people. So other people might say, this is the best basho of my life. Hey, Stargazer. Hey, JJ, you are here on time. You're here like right away. And H. Tim, he is also agreeing that this is not a good basho. So let's get into it. First, I'll tell you guys, like I said, I am so far behind in this. I don't think there is a sumo tournament since I started where I have missed so many days and had to catch up on multiple days. I'm doing my best here. So if I miss any of the finer details with some of the guys who aren't making waves, feel free to educate me because my days are blending together. But anyway, speaking of the injury thing, the very first thing that I got on my notes here is Tobizaru definitely injured. We already knew this, but he was limping after he beat Ryuden. What does that say about Ryuden? That Tobizaru on one foot was able to get him out. We don't really know what Ryuden's issues are because he's had them for 6 years now. So could be a new injury, could be just his normal ebbs and flows. Not sure. So the Midori Fuji versus Hatsuyama match was interesting because the first thought I had was, this is the first time I've seen Hatsuyama kind of in a match since he started. And it just showed me that he really is completely outmatched. He's not ready for the top division right now. Here he was finally going up against a smaller guy, and, you know, he could not get his pushing and thrusting going. So he's going to need to go back to Juryo and try again. Hopefully he's learned a lot of good lessons, and his second time up will not take too long. Also, I wanted more of Asahakiryu and Nishiki Fuji. So finally, we have a very similar fighter in that they're both small, but they're both very powerful. And so much so that they blast into each other and they both go flying out in opposite directions. I feel like if they had been able to keep the momentum in the center of the ring, we would have had a real good time back and forth. But, you know, I still enjoyed it. I want to see those guys fight more. It's good to see Nishiki Fuji back into some sort of healthy form. I did not think we were ever going to see that again. So it gives me some encouragement for the future. I want to see those two fight a lot more. Asanoyama versus Kimbozan. So for years, I was watching in the prime of Asanoyama's career. I got it, that he made it to Ozeki and he had a certain way about him. But I was not as confident in him as, say, Hakuho, who thought he was going to be the next Yokozuna. Then he gets, punished quite horribly and sent very far down. And, we don't really get to see much of him. So, back to the current time, I actually can see in this match why Asanoyama is so highly regarded. He has a very royal-like sumo. He takes his time, he's deliberate, and there's a confidence of, if I get the belt, I'm going to win the match. I could see why he could have been Yokozuna in an alternate timeline where he doesn't get punished and therefore doesn't accumulate all of these horrible injuries and just ages out of his prime. So, anyway, the next match, I didn't even bother to write down because the first thing I wrote was Hanka counter. Okay, we're going to talk about a slightly different thing about the Hanka thing. Do Hankas now have to be so common that they're every single day? Come on. I'm going to start a Hanka counter tomorrow. There better not be any more Hankas from day 11 on. It's getting a little ridiculous. Now, the man of the hour, I put him in the thumbnail. I put him here. He's in the tagline for the show today. ShiShi versus Fujinokawa. Angry ShiShi is quite scary for the smaller dudes. There aren't a ton of guys down in the lower part of the division that can push ShiShi around. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing him fight the top guys. We discuss this all the time. He does anti-sumo, but he is extremely powerful. And I don't know how many of you have read of Mice and Men, but that is the whole ShiShi is Lennie thing. He reminds me of Lennie from that book. No, like all of this power and doesn't quite understand it. So, I think we all got kind of a surprised Pikachu face when we saw Fujinokawa go flying with that extra push. I don't think that he's going to... I think he's going to get a slap in the hand the next time he does something like that. But it does show you that somehow, in his twisted way of not doing sumo, he's still winning. He's 8-2, guys. He's 8-2. Do I think he's winning a Yusho? Absolutely not. But do I think this is going to be highly entertaining? Absolutely, yes. So, let's see the big dogs show ShiShi how you're supposed to sumo. They better. I know we got two hobbled together Yokozuna. Let's hope it doesn't go that far. Not that I expected them to still be in, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway. So Hiraumi, he regains his power at the Tachi-ai, takes care of Tokihate, no problem. The Ura versus Daisho match, I was surprised how well Ura, got the benefit of the Tachi-ai. It was a pretty good hit. But then they both kind of tumble in opposite directions, which is pretty much what you would expect in any Ura match. And Daisho gets the win. So Daisho's making a comeback, guys. He is a week 2 guy lately. He's definitely not in the physical shape he needs to be in, but somehow he settles in after the first week and he makes it very competitive in the second week. Watch out for him to get his Kachikoshi. Then we have Hakuno Fuji versus Wakatake Kage. I was going to say earlier in the tournament, I guess the name change was good for him, and I still would say it is, but now the record's starting to even out a bit. He's not going to necessarily blow it away like it looked like was possible. In this match, even with the loose Moashi, Wakatake Kage gets the nice reversal, and out he goes. A lot still for Hakuno Fuji to learn, because Waka's not in his best shape, but boy, he knows how to win. Yoshino Fuji versus Takayasu. I enjoyed this one because I knew Takayasu was going to give him quite the beating. And the question was, could he hang in there? So, I don't know. I watched the match a couple times because I wanted to get an essence of what really went on. At first, I felt like Takayasu goaded Yoshino Fuji into staying in too long. Like, oh, you want to slap? I can slap too. And I'm, But then I saw a couple times that Yoshino Fuji was desperately trying to get a reversal and Takayasu wasn't having it. And then the first opportunity that he finally gets to try to slap Takayasu away, he just bowls right into him and knocks him out. And the thought that I had was just, look, kid, Takayasu's been doing this a long time. You just aren't ready for him. Not when he's in peak condition. So, good effort. I think Yoshino Fuji is going to be a nice, great talent for us. But Takayasu is an Ozeki for life. I don't care what anybody says. That dude can beat anybody. If he didn't have all the back problems, he'd still be Ozeki. And he's from the old school era, which we will talk about. Anyway, so Kotozakura versus Kirishima. This was a strategy match because both guys wanted the belt, Kirishima's got the issue of Kotozakura being much more powerful than him. Kotozakura's not moving as well. So they both wanted to get their favored grip. Kirishima actually shook off the first grip that Kotozakura had. They go back and forth a little bit. Kiri gets the left-hand grip, but Koto gets both, and then he just walks him out like it was nothing. Just nothing. And that's what you want to see from Kotozakura. So Kirishima, he looks awesome this tournament. Kotozakura is a warrior, okay? He is impressing me more and more every day. He's hurt. He's never going to be in top form again, but he is learning. He's Ozeki, and he's got the Ozeki pride, and he's going to fight like an Ozeki. Now, I have not seen someone in his condition fight this well in quite some time. Like, maintain the Ozeki rank without katabaning all the time. And doing what he's got to do. And looking good in the matches that he looks good in. Then we had Aonishiki versus Takanosho. There was a part of me that just wanted Takanosho to have like that one good match that he has a tournament. And I think he was fired up for it, but let's be honest. Aonishiki is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. So Takanosho was really giving it to him. He has a little bit of trouble. If you can get him upright with those pushes and thrusts, you can blast him out. But Aonishiki knows this. So for a second, I thought maybe Takanosho had him. And then what does Aonishiki do? He grabs the arm and reverses. The man thinks so incredibly fast and reacts so incredibly fast. Like, he can just adjust whatever he's doing mid-match. If you're Takanosho, you're just not fast enough and not prepared enough for what he's going to do. So, I was highly impressed by Aonishiki's reflexes, I have to say. He's a skilled dude in both ability and mental toughness. So, I think he's got a really good shot of winning, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, Hoshiryu versus Oho. So I was really keeping an eye on the knee. I wanted to see what sort of movement was on there. I don't know that it's Kotozakura bad yet. I think we're going to get there. But it looked dicey to me. But all he did was use his upper body strength, use a little bit of footwork, pivots, pulls down. He's fought Oho enough times that he knows him pretty darn well, and the strategy worked. But I have to say, it's my bias, I know, Hoshiryu is that guy. Now, it might be because your uncle is always on his back, and we're going to talk about uncle's comments, and we're going to talk about the eras of sumo, because this is a topic I enjoy so very much. But whether it be that Hoshiryu just doesn't want to get a lot of crap, or if it's just something he already internally has, he does have the mentality for fight for your life. And he's out there doing it, and he's doing it as smart as he can, and I don't think he can ask anymore, besides winning, of course. But what can you do? I do think he's giving it everything he has. And finally, speaking of injured and giving everything he has, Atami Fuji versus Onosato. So going into this, I didn't even expect Onosato to be here. So I expected him to lose this match. I thought there was no way in the world he wasn't going to. Atami Fuji is actually really hot right now. And he beat Hoshiryu yesterday, and Onosato has no power in that arm. His entire fighting style, not that every sumo doesn't need it, but his whole thing is moving forward, pushing you forward. How in the world are you going to do that with a busted shoulder? But Onosato does desperate sumo very well. He gets a lot of wins, like doing dances on the edge, moving at just the right place. As long as he can get you moving forward, he still has a decent shot. And actually, he was closer than I expected. They said that they went down at the same time. As I'm looking at the replay, it looked like Onosato went down first. To me, it looked like Atami Fuji had that match won. But I wasn't upset about the redo necessarily, but I knew that wasn't going to favor Onosato either way. Maybe that's why I felt that way. But and the redo, Onosato's definitely got nothing left. And Atami Fuji still, I mean, it did go to the edge there, but Atami Fuji seemed to have the plan of like, okay, if that happens, I'm going to step to the side. And he did it. He wins the match. We're all sitting here waiting for Onosato to pull out, but we have heard all the comments and all the things that are out there in the internet universe of, well, I'll get to it, but of Asashoryu's comments and Hakaku, who's angry all the time and no one can make him happy. Both the Yokozuna feel like they need to stay in, and I think their coaches are being told that they need to stay in, and they're feeling the pressure too, so they might stay in. It might be a disaster, but we'll get to that too. So our current situation is this. The 8 and 2s are Aonishiki, Kirishima, Atami Fuji, Abi, and ShiShi. So I'm obviously crossing ShiShi off right away. I don't see any opportunity for him winning this thing. I think we're going to have highly amusing matches. Highly. Although I won't be amused if Hoshiryu loses to him. I will hide for a week. Atami Fuji could be the dark horse here. Abi could be a dark horse too. I'm not going to eliminate him. I do think that he's not physically in good enough shape to win this thing. But Abi's a trickster and he's capable of doing anything to win. He doesn't have any qualms about nothing. What I do think it's going to come down to is Aonishiki and Kirishima, but don't count out Kotozakura. I am counting out Hoshiryu. I don't see a situation where he can win without destroying his knee. I think he needs to just, if his goal is to be a Yokozuna, he just needs to get through this without getting hurt further. And then he needs to rest right away. So yeah, that's our situation. We're going to look at the matchups for tomorrow. And then I see lots of good comments from you guys. And we still need to talk about the era. The era's situation. Okay. Matches for tomorrow. Let's make sure this is showing up properly here. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. It seems like it's delayed on my screen here. Okay. Well, if it's not showing up, I'll just read it to you. Okay, so we're going to start in reverse order from, like, the final match of the day. The final match of the day is Hoshiryu versus Takayasu, both 7 and 3. So, obviously, Yusho, important match. I do think Hoshiryu just, if he wins this, there's going to be some level of, like, lucked into it. I think he's just trying to win without getting further hurt. So, it's a little dicey. I think Takayasu could take this one, but also Hoshiryu, if he's clever enough, he could take it. We don't know what kind of state Takayasu is going to be in from match to match. Kirishima Onosato typically would be a fantastic match. Likely, Onosato will not fight this match tomorrow. He shouldn't fight this match tomorrow. If he shows up, Kirishima is going to win the match. Kotozakura versus Takanosho. Obviously, Kotozakura should win this match. However, Takanosho is good for at least 1 or 2 upsets, per tournament. So always keep an eye out for that. It could be this one. It shouldn't be. If Kotozakura is in good shape, he wants to get that Kachikoshi right away. So he's not worrying about Kadoban. And whatever he does is bonus from there. Big match. Hakuno Fuji versus Aonishiki. So Hakuno Fuji started off pretty good. Now he's 5 and 5. This is pretty consistent for him. Aonishiki, obviously, people are talking about him to win the whole thing. Once again, I think this is Aonishiki's match, but there is a good possibility that Hakuno Fuji has a good day. So don't sleep on that. Yoshino Fuji versus Oho. This is pretty even, I think. I mean, Oho obviously is dicey. He's great sometimes and not others, but he usually rises to the level of his opponent. So Yoshino Fuji is going to bring out the best in Oho, in my estimation. We're going to talk about Atami Fuji, Fujinokawa. So Atami Fuji's probably gained a good deal of confidence, and I've always thought that was his big issue. Fujinokawa is a firecracker, and he's just crazy enough to pull this off. I think this is also very evenly matched with a slight edge to Atami Fuji. And then we're just going to see Asanoyama Hiraomi. Okay, This is an interesting one because I still think Asanoyama's pretty hurt, and he's doing well considering. He's looking great. He's looking, like I said, he's got a regalness to him. He takes his time. He's confident if he gets both hands on the belt that you're done. This is a battle of the Tachi-ai. If Hiraomi hits Asanoyama hard enough and he can't recover, then it's done. But Asanoyama only needs a little bit of space to recover, so Hiraomi's got to just keep the pressure on. I see the edge going to Asanoyama, but Hiraomi is looking fantastic, so it's close. And ShiShi Abi, here we are at the bottom, one of the second match of the day, and we have ShiShi Abi. Abi doesn't belong down here if he's healthy. ShiShi somehow sumos, but we've discussed it. This could be serious hijinks. Abi could henka. Abi could go straight on. Abi can play the crazy game with ShiShi. We might have a lot of fun with this match. I'm praying we have a lot of fun with this match. And just for kicks, Tobizaru versus Hatsuyama. Tobizaru is very hurt. Hatsuyama could use a win. Maybe we'll see an upset there. All right. That's my spiel about all that. I got to read your comments. And then we can get into the Eras conversation if I catch up. Okay. Tobizaru on the farewell tour. I think so. I don't know what keeps guys in sumo, so he could mess around in the second division for a while, but he's not getting any better than this. I'd be shocked. H. Tim is also worried for Tobizaru. Ryuden is hot and cold. He's a better chance to bounce back in Juryo if he keeps losing. That's going to be Ryuden's whole rest of his career. Juryo, top division, back and forth. He's a little too good to stay in Juryo, but he's no top division man anymore. Toby looks worse every basho and not always by just a little. Yeah, he's older. You know, he made his top division debut older than the average, and at this point he's on the decline. There's no fix in this, I don't think. Yes, ShiShi is in fact Lennie. Somebody prove me wrong. I feel like the Of Mice and Men was written for ShiShi. I am here. I know it's not that time yet, but I wanted to mention I finished all of Hero Academia. Absolutely peak hype. We will talk about that later, Bob, because I finished it too. We must discuss. Without spoilers, I guess. Hello, Army. Glad you came here. JJ, what is your culinary genius concocted today? JJ is in favor of Hankas every day, so maybe it's okay. But we should start a Hanka counter per tournament. JJ made fajitas, which I love fajitas. Those are awesome. Both wounded Yokozuna giving out gold stars, gold star bonanza. They were doing that a couple tournaments ago anyway, so they are Kimboshi machines, but they both are very hurt and shouldn't have been in this tournament. So what are you going to do? I actually think they're doing better than before they were hurt and giving out gold stars because they were iffy. So if anything, you could take a positive out of it that they're really, really hurt and they're still doing decent. Maybe they've gotten that much stronger. There will be Hankas every day, hopefully by ShiShi. If Abi, Hanka, what if we get a double Hanka tomorrow? Abi and ShiShi. This should be like the epic, insane match of the tournament. I hope it lives up to the hype. JJ has onion, bell pepper, chicken, seasoning, tortilla, cheese, sour cream, and hot sauce. That sounds like a fantastic meal. Just gonna say. Bob is jealous. If ShiShi wins the U show, it'll be in the back of my mind anytime I claim something else in sumo is impossible. Expect that. Expect to always be eating your own words in sumo. It's just not really. It's predictable up to a point. And then insane things happen and you just shake your head. Double Kimboshi back to back. Yeah. Terunofuji very happy. Terunofuji is, I follow all these guys on Instagram. Terunofuji is beaming. And I don't remember seeing that guy smiling much in the past. So he's given all the extra steak to Atami Fuji. He's like, you're my guy. You got to do this. You are my top guy right now. ShiShi Yusho is the best timeline. You know, all the backstories they're telling about ShiShi, I mean, he does seem to have a very lovable personality, if the translations are to be believed. Just his sumo is just bizarre. Apparently, ShiShi doesn't like rice. Frankly, if I didn't like rice or fish, I would have chosen a career that doesn't require living in Japan. Yeah, but he was kind of coming from a war zone, so I'd take Japan over that, I think. Tell me about the rabbits, Aonishiki. I don't know that lore right there. I would be surprised if Onosato shows up tomorrow with the second gold star given out. Has he withdrawn yet? So Chris Sumo did put a post out, and in it was something about how only 3 Yokozuna in the history of keeping records have ever gotten a losing record. So that's why Yokozuna usually pull out before they can get a losing record. And all 3 of those guys did issue their resign papers, and they were rejected. But if he gets a losing score, that's what's on the line. Like he would be expected to put in his resignation papers, which, Abi did that years ago, and he's still fighting. It'd probably be rejected, but there's a lot on the line if he does show up tomorrow, so I would hope not. All of a sudden, ShiShi's got attitude. Yeah, it's because he's tired of people talking crap. He's like, oh, you think I suck? Well, let me show you. Best timeline is if Fujinokawa or Takayasu won. I agree with that. I would cry if Takayasu won. I've been holding out for a long time for a Takayasu Yusho. I'm calling it now. Takayasu picks up his 10th Jung Yusho. It's so possible. It's so possible. Kiri and the Ozeki have a golden opportunity with both Yokozuna injured, and they better take advantage. I was thinking before the tournament that it was likely going to come down to one of them. I wasn't sure what Kirishima's condition was going to be, but I'm like, as soon as I found out that Hoshoryu had torn his meniscus, I'm like, well, now they're both done. So this is the time. And January is that time where we have gotten multiple first-time winners. So anything is possible in January. Is Koto Zakura back in form? It looks like he is. I mean, he's still not... You can tell he can't always defend when he's pushed backwards, so he's not like 100% by any means. But that match at Kirishima, he went back and forth. He was okay. And when he has you, he has you. He's a powerful dude. So I think at least he's found a form that he can consistently fight in. And if he wins tomorrow, Kachikoshi, and he's good. He's good. He lives to fight another day. Kiri will get a Fusen win if Onosato pulls out. The leader getting a freebie will make things interesting. Can Onosato in this form beat Kiri? He usually dominates him. No chance. Unless he gets one of his weird desperation, Kirishima stubs a toe. No way. Onosato's shoulder is toast. Please go to Zakura, I'm begging you. Yoshino Fuji is Sekiwake bound. Goose and I both agree on that. Absolutely 100%. I had him at the beginning of this tournament as a dark horse. I think John actually picked him to win the Yusho. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Maybe it could. But, oh wait, no. Is Yoshino Fuji? I got to check his record. I'm already forgetting. You see, I told you. I'm so out of it. Yeah, he's 5-5. Forget what I said. That's immediately remembered this. He's got no shot at the Yusho this time, but he's just getting better and better. I missed the Kusano name. I'm getting a hard time remembering this Yoshino Fuji name. But he will be Sekiwake soon. We'll see what ends up at this at the end of this tournament. Technically, you could get a 10-5. Then there you go. But we'll see. He is a warrior for sure. Someone will have to drop out or rise up for Yoshi to get a spot, right? Well, where we are now, let me go to the whole board here. Yeah, it's pretty stacked up here. So, Kirishima Takayasu, it's not going to happen with. So, Oho or Wakamoto Haru would have to vacate. And Oho is a possibility. Wakamoto Haru is a possibility. So, it's there. He just needs to win. That's all he needs to think about. Uh-oh, did I just minimize that? Because that could be a problem. I did. My mistake. Okay. So many windows. Let me get back. Oh, I should say that I don't mean immediately, but the guy's got a high ceiling. Yeah, I know you don't mean immediately, JJ. I was just seeing if it was possible this time. It is possible. And maybe not as far out of the realm of possibility as... Yeah, Monster says it here too. Oho and Waka, both on pace to drop. Is he Ozeki? Let's see if JJ responds to that. Atami Fuji is likely to get the E spot in this rate, so Yoshino Fuji will be fighting against the other Joey guys for the last one. Hoshiryu running on Vegeta vibes. Well, he got scalped, and I've always said that Hoshiryu is the Vegeta of Sumo. He's got all the right vibes for that. I prefer both Yokozuna to go and get their injuries taken care of. I've had a meniscus replacement. The recovery isn't long. He could miss next Basho and then be back strong by July. I 100% agree with that. It makes zero sense to me that we're just going to let the Yokozuna go in, tear up their bodies more, possibly injure other parts, and have their careers ended, when you could just get a couple surgeries and just take a couple months off. Terunofuji did it. Hakuho did it. Kakuryu did it. Like, the precedent is set. They've earned their right to be Yokozuna where you can take tournaments off. They're not in the horrible Ozeki spot, so just let them do it. Seeing Kotozakura have a couple of good Basho of late, even if it hasn't been consistent yet, is giving a lot of hope for any Kotozakura fan out there. I would have hope as a Kotozakura fan. He is looking really good. I'm going to need to see how viable Yoshino Fuji is over time in the Sanyaku first. I think he can score to Sekiwake for sure. I just don't know if he can maintain that score multiple Basho in a row. Yeah, I'd be hesitant with almost anybody to predict their Ozeki status. Well, every once in a while you get an Onosato, an Aonishiki, where you're like, yeah, they're just going to skip right over this whole Sanyaku thing. Most guys, once they hit Sanyaku, then you can get a vibe. Did they get hit by the curse right away? Did they get an injury? Did they start to like really fall apart once they have the higher pressure? Then you get to see, like, you know, is this guy Ozeki level candidate? Wait and see. Atami Fuji is having his best Basho ever right now. It's nice to finally see some improvement. This is what people have been waiting for with Atami Fuji. And I think just a little bit of confidence is what he needs. I really do. He needs that approval of Terunofuji. He needs the crowd cheering for him. He needs the big wins against the Yokozuna to believe that he has what it takes. Atami is in the Joey. He has finally figured something out. Same as you. I don't mind the redo for Atami versus Bug Zero. That's right. Onosato is the origin of Bug Zero. This Basho, we have learned Onosato has more tricks than just moving forward. Turns out he's pretty good at going backwards, too. His footwork gives Abi a run for his money. Well, Onosato has always had the issue of falling back on moving backwards and trying to win. Doing the pulls, doing the pivots. Like I said, he's good at desperate sumo. But when you are hurt, that's all, like, and they know you're hurt. It's like a shark with blood in the water. Just doesn't work as effectively. The JSA is out of touch. Yep, that goes into the errors discussion. Onosato getting the redo was a close enough kind of Yokozuna deal. I think I kind of agree with that. Highlight of the Basho so far was Hakaku's live reactions to all the top dogs losing on the Emperor's visit. I laughed. I cried. I didn't expect to get so much enjoyment out of Hakaku's sour face. It's like, look, nobody lives up to your expectations. Everybody stinks to you. Even when they're doing good, it wasn't good enough. So you just like being mad, and I'm gonna get a kick out of it because that was a train wreck of a day. There's no way they wanted the Emperor to see, you know, their top guys all lose like that. So sucks for you, Hakaku, but you kind of deserve it. I don't know. Hakaku probably mad every time he's asked for a comment because it interrupts his vacation plans. He's probably going to Cabo. His second term is up. They need a big Jumbotron that only shows Hakaku so he can express disappointment at all times. Yeah, that'll make him feel great. Hakaku is resting disapproval face 100%. Hosh versus Kiri probably on day 12. That could be an interesting one because they have been rivals a long time. They know each other very well. Hoshiryu might pull off something sneaky, but Kirishima is in the best form, so it's not looking good for him. He also has to deal with Aonishiki. It's going to be rough. No shot for Hoshiryu this time around. He just needs to... He needs to get his 10 wins, the Yokozuna, Kachikoshi, and then pull out. Although he might get some crap for that because he's pulled out multiple times. It won't surprise me who either Yokozuna will lose to. Hoshiryu should get the surgery done now. I agree. People have been blaming Hakaku for the Yokozuna fighting, but it's their Oyakata. They're responsible, of course. Hakuho, Terunofuji, or Takekisho's Oyakata wouldn't be doing that. Hakuho fought through everything, I'm pretty sure. Until the end. If you saw Hakuho before 2017, it's not that he wasn't hurt. He fought through a lot of stuff. And he was Yokozuna for a very long time. Pretty much his whole career once he got to the top division. He just fought through a lot of it. Terunofuji, he got knocked all the way down to the 5th division and had to come back. If you're talking about his later career, that's when he took the time off. Takekisho, look, he stayed in so long and hurt his body so much he had to retire at 28. There's a cautionary tale for you, which is why I don't think the Yokozuna should fight. That's where they're headed. But Takekisho's Oyakata actually cautioned against him fighting multiple times. Hoshiryu's Oyakata has encouraged him to pull out. Even on day 13s, he's getting criticism like crazy. I think, if anything, this Hoshiryu fighting probably has a lot to do with Uncle. If the Yokozuna both drop out, what happens to the schedule? Does Koto versus Aonishiki suddenly go to day 15? I don't know, because I don't think they will drop out until later. They will probably linger on until that match makes sense. Hakaku comments were horrible. He should be worried about losing both Yokozuna for long term. He should be. This is where I don't agree. This is where we have a problem. And that it's connected to the Era's discussion. We'll get to it. He said, just said a Yokozuna shouldn't admit it hurts. He said nothing about they shouldn't sit out. Oh, good. I'm almost caught up to the comments so I can say all kinds of stuff. Okay. Maybe. I lied. I am not caught up with the comments. Crap. Okay. I'm closer, but... He just said a Yokozuna shouldn't admit it hurts. He said nothing about they shouldn't sit out. Ah. Well, isn't the modern man quite different than the men of the past? There's a hint for our discussion. Hakaku's comments are right this time. If Onosato is in such bad shape, he's talking about the pain in interviews. He shouldn't be in the basho at all. Another thing to talk about. Wow, look at me defending Hakaku. Never thought I'd see the day. Let me wash my mouth out. How do you not show your pain with such bad injuries? That's out of touch. It's a different world, man. Like, before the internet, okay? I'm old enough to have lived before the internet. You didn't talk about stuff. Now with the internet, it's just so comfortable, even in interviews, to just say everything you want to say. And that is like a punch in the face to these old school guys who just don't understand the new world. And I'm not putting a value judgment on it. It is what it is. Good, bad, there are good and there are bad. But that's just how modern men are. Terunofuji rarely ever showed pain. He had much worse injuries than these two, but that's semantics. Came from the old school, guys. I thought I'd be the only one on Hakaku's side with this. It's the Yokozuna's job to protect toughness, and the comment seemed like some clear corporate speak telling Onosato to just go Kyujo. Kujo, I keep saying Kyujo. Well, you know, Onosato doesn't exude to me the sort of toughness that some of these other guys are. Like, his personality is not that. If the Yokozuna want to pull out, they will pull out, period. My girlfriend Olivia wants to know what your favorite move for someone to win their basho. Well, it's funny because Takekisho was my top guy, so he's just a pusher thruster, and I did very much enjoy powerful, like, the last push that just sent somebody flying. But my favorites are throws. I really, really like Uwatanage. Really, really like it. We've had Tokushoryu Yusho, now get ready for ShiShi Yusho. No one is ready for that. Poor Ura is getting destroyed. Okay, fair point for ShiShi. On day 1, the judge announcing Asakuryu's Hansoku loss called him Asashiryu and the crowd gasped. That was interesting. You don't see those every day. Is this the enemy Takayumi? I don't know. At this point, Sumo is all Takayumi has. So I could see him hanging around for a while. Just, he's got to go through his mourning period. That's going to take a while. I don't see him leaving even if he gets demoted. But I could be wrong. People do a lot of crazy things during grief. We have not had a repeat Yusho winner for 11 Januaries in a row. Last to win back-to-back January Yusha was, of course, Hakuho. Yeah, that tracks. I didn't know that, but that tracks. Despite the Sanyaku eating up wins in the Joey, still has many solid Kachikoshi contenders thanks to the generous donations of Ura, Ichi Yamamoto, and Takanosho. Yeah, unfortunately, none of them ready for prime time. I thought Ura was close. Takanosho, he's just a shell of his former self. Ichi Yamamoto, I'm hoping he just gets there at some point. But we haven't had a first-time winner in January since 2021. Okay, we're getting better. We're getting better than where we were. There's still a good number of guys ahead of me, Takayumi, in the demotion line, and not many Juryo promotees. He's probably going to make it. For this Basho, at least. Fuji Seiyun, finally going to make it to Makuuchi. Oh, very nice. The promotion demotions are not that interesting this time. I got to admit, it's pretty easy to guess. Okay. Okay, I think Takayumi retires once stable master Dewanumi establishes himself in Makuuchi. Oh, God, I don't think I didn't read that right. Dewanoryu in Juryo right now, 7-3, I think. Hoshiryu got partially scalped and still went on to dominate the Torinaoshi. Guy's tough as nails. He's a tough dude. I know people like to talk crap, but he's a tough dude. Boy, Tobizaru is really looking bad. Speaking of knee injuries, Tochi Taikai tore his MCL on day 9. Gee. He did it after stepping down from the dohyo. I agree with Monster. Hoshiri is tough, maybe too tough for his own good. Onosato, too. That is the give and take of martial arts, unfortunately. Looked like he overestimated the height of... Oh, goodness. That's a horrible way to get injured. I often make fun of Reddit's ideas, but that lower dohyo one is probably the smartest thing to do. It's always going to come down to tradition versus practicality. Onosato landed full force on his injured shoulder, but his shoulder looked better in the rematch. Maybe he put it back in place. Yeah, I mean, if it's popped out, it probably does go in and out. They both need someone advising them to do what's best for them to have a long career as Yokozuna, because this isn't the way. Well, who's going to give them the advice? That's the question. Because some of the former Yokozuna are gone. Some of the former Yokozuna were told, get in there and fight. So they might give them that same advice. There was a UFC fighter, TJ Dillashaw, that had the same problem with his shoulder constantly popping out. He didn't get it fixed, and it popped out in a fight, and it tore everything, ending his career. Yep, that's where we're headed. Yes, Army, what I've heard, it isn't a simple dislocation. Resting is almost always the best option. Haku no Fuji got surgery because his shoulder kept popping out. Yeah, that's kind of looking like a good decision now, isn't it? Longtime successful Yokozuna like Kakuryu, Terunofuji, and Hakuho have taken many basho off. We've seen it. Yes. Yes. But we're going to talk about it. Whatever pressure is coming from Hakaku or the JSA is nothing more than meaningless slap on the wrist for verbal admonishments. There is a little bit something to that. I know they have the toughness standards, and I like that, but the fan of me prefers to have both Yokozuna long-term, and the best way to get that is having surgery and sitting out a few basho. Bob agrees. Hakaku had a total of 108 absences. His first Kyujo basho was his 7th basho as a Yokozuna. He was 25. Interesting. It's not even tradition. They raised the dohyo, so it'd be easier to film for TV. Yes, but when did they do that? Was it 1950? Because then it counts as a tradition. It counts as a tradition from 1950. Can't mess with that. All right, let's talk about this whole injury, errors thing, all of it in between. I have a lot of thoughts on it. Some of my opinions might be spot on. Some might be a little iffy. I'm trying to work it out in real time with you guys. So don't take everything I say as like, this is exactly how I feel. It's just kind of where my head is at. So I saw a lot of people. First of all, it's common for people to compare eras, people to compare the greats. You know, you have it with Jordan and Kobe Bryant and then LeBron James. You have it with all the quarterbacks, you know, who's the best quarterback. You have it with goalies, you know, who was the best goalie, you know, Patrick Waugh and all these different guys. Then with sumo wrestlers, you're going to do the same thing. An important distinction to be made here is how different the eras are, especially if you're going to compare our most current of the last hurrah of the great era, right? Asashoryu, born in 1980. Hakuho, born in 1985. Goeido, born in 1986. Terunofuji, 1991. Okay? Some of you are from that era. Some of you are younger than that. If you are from that era, you must admit that things were a lot tougher back then in general. People were colder. People were harder. It was harder to do things. There was less sports medicine. There were less concerns for health and well-being overall, I would say. In sports, they had to be sort of pushed into it. Now, some might say that's a bad thing, that they've softened up some of these sports with the concussion protocols. Those really started to become more and more prevalent as the 90s went on. But there were still plenty of the old school people who are like, get away from me. I don't want to hear that. So you're talking about a different mindset for those guys. To be the best and to stay as the top guy in sumo, first of all, they had all the hazing stuff, and it was perfectly acceptable. There was no councils that we have now that are saying, you shouldn't do that. They would literally just look at you and say, well, if you can't take it, you should quit. You know? But then even quitting, there's a shame to that, right? So these guys were raised differently. They were bred differently. They were told different things. There was no internet to go out and complain about. There wasn't a whole bunch of people who to come around and be your support system. It was you on an island by yourself, hitting that pole thousands of times, while the guy next to you is also hitting the pole thousands of times. What I might be saying, and I think this is true, is in general, people are softer now than they were in the past. And every year we get a little softer. I include myself in that. So the grit and the drive to push yourself beyond boundaries you should never push is slowly going away. And these newer, younger guys are not training and not pushing themselves the way that Asashoryu did, the way that Hakuho did. I still remember watching the interview where Hakuho's trainer said, when he was talking to his trainer, how he had blood in his lungs every single day from overtraining. He could have killed himself. Any number of things could have gone wrong. He did it anyway. The only thing that mattered was being the best, the top guy. Our modern people don't have that. So how do you compare the eras? I guess you could say, yeah, the sumo wrestlers were tougher. They won more matches. It was more special when you got a kimboshi. There's a flip side to that, right? There's a flip side, which is it was crueler. It was harder. And like we're talking about here, careers were shorter. Lives were shorter. How many sumo wrestlers are dead by 61? This new crop of modern sumo guys who care for their health and their well-being, and they're not punishing each other so that everybody hates each other, they might live longer. They might have a higher quality of life. They might have longer sumo careers. So I don't want to put a value judgment on it because there are pros and cons to both. I mean, I watched the Hakuho era. And yeah, it was impressive to see what that man did. Absolutely impressive. And even Goeido, Terunofuji making the comeback he made. No, you will never see that era of sumo again. But was it sustainable? Especially now, you have to look at the fact that there are far less guys who are even joining sumo anymore. Just, they're not there. the guys of the past knew they were disposable. So either you get to the top, you train harder than everybody else, you'll be replaced. Hoshoryu Onosato are being told two things at the same time. One, you must uphold all of the traditions of the past and be the toughest guy and beat everybody and don't take any days off and don't heal your injuries. But on the flip side, it's a completely different era where you're also expected to be personable and you're also expected not to, like, you're not supposed to complain about your injuries, but you're also supposed to fight through your injuries. Like, I don't know. Why don't you just let them take the time off if they're not supposed to complain about their injuries? And let's not also forget all the things that Asashoryu in particular. So he goes on his little rant and he says, don't disgrace the name of sumo. He got kicked out for disgracing the name of sumo. How are some of these guys living their lives that the modern guys don't live right now? Hanging out with gangsters, heavy drinking, all kinds of stuff. And they were allowed to do it all without ever getting in trouble. These guys, you go to a bar during COVID, you lose your whole career. So the standards aren't the same either. You're not supposed to bully, which I don't think you should, but you're not supposed to bully anybody. You get in trouble. Hoshoryu, extra push. He's a bad guy. Okay, well, how's he supposed to be the toughest guy on the block, but then he's not allowed to do the extra shove because he needs to control himself and be a proper Yokozuna? The standards are all over the place. The standards are all over the place. Yes, I agree that these sumo guys are not as tough as the guys of the past, but the past is different than the present. And I think these guys, some of these guys are much more skilled, with the exception of Hakuho, greatest talent of all time because he was both skilled and unstoppable. Like, I don't know how he fought through a lot of his injuries. Like, he fought through a lot of injuries before the end of his career where he was always off. Just a specimen that doesn't make sense. These guys are more talented and yeah, they're more fragile, but there's nobody to replace them if they go down. You don't have this wealth of guys to share the space. So you might have to treat them with kid gloves compared to the past. You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, fight until you're dead, but wait, you can't leave because we don't have nobody else to take your place. You got to pick a side. You know, so I guess you can't avoid comparing eras. And yeah, they were tougher in the past, but they didn't have the same situation. So I don't know. I think we need to be very concerned about injuries. I think we're going to have a lot more 28-year-olds retiring if we can't just get the surgeries we need to get. I mean, Hakuho, the man was a tiny little stick. And when he came into sumo, they said, you should be a hairdresser. You're never going to gain the weight you need to gain to be a top guy. And something inside of him was like, no, I'm going to be the top guy. And it was probably because his dad was like a very famous wrestler in Mongolia, won a bronze medal in the Olympics. Big deal for Mongolia. He just had this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. And so he willed it to happen. And so there are probably days where, and this is kind of where we can get into the toughness a little bit. Were there days where Hakuho felt like he couldn't possibly get up and do it again? Sure. What's different about his mentality versus Onosato's or Hoshoryu's? That's really the big question. I mean, Asashoryu was needed. He shouldn't have created scandal that got him kicked out. But once again, these rules are all loosey-goosey. Some guys get away with stuff and some guys don't. Now, Asashoryu, of course, was the bad guy of sumo, did all kinds of stuff they just couldn't ignore. So that's kind of on him to some degree. No one can say that he didn't do awful things and maybe deserved getting kicked out. So he shouldn't talk about disgracing the name of sumo. If he wants to talk about how these guys aren't tough enough, okay. But he should take a look in the mirror. Because it would have been great to see Asashoryu and Hakuho fight for a lot longer. It would have changed a lot of things. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way because it's like you can motivate without complaining. You can respect the past and acknowledge that there were things about it that were so much better, but I don't think comparing will ever work. Like, take Hakuho and take him out of his era and put him in this era. He might be the exact same guy. Take some of those other guys out of their era and put them in this era. They're no different than Onosato and Hoshoryu. Just how it works. Anyway, you guys did a lot of comments. I got to get into it. Like I said, wasn't a fully fleshed out thought. I think what you can summarize from it is that Asashoryu should be careful what he says. He's right about the toughness. The guys of his time were tougher, but men in general, people in general, were tougher back then, and they were forced into it. In these times we live in now, we're not forced into it, and it just is what it is. But some of these skilled guys, they would have given him trouble, I think. Not all of them. In general, it's a select few that I think would have dominated even in his time. Okay, the dohyo was raised in 1931. That is old enough to be a tradition. So, and I bet you those TV sponsorships affected as well. Back in the previous era, medical technology wasn't where it is now, so to me, you take advantage of the modern medicine that can get you fixed. I agree. But even that right there, I agree with that sentiment. But the guys of the past wouldn't necessarily agree with you. They were different. They were mentally different. Yeah, I don't think you can compare Hakuho's achievements to those of someone who were fighting with the standing Tachi, or like Futabayama winning all of 2 years worth of basho when he was 2 a year. Do I get to complain about people being too soft as long as I'm not an old man then? I don't know. There's probably some hard people who are not old, even in our era, especially in martial arts dojos. There's still some hard people out there. But the ones who really had nothing and struggled and suffered, and there was a lot of bullying and all kinds of stuff, they're going to be harder than modern people where we have a lot of differences in the way we think. I don't think it was smart that Hoshoryu pushed himself leading the tour, fighting so many matches before the basho. Well, he was trying to be the Yokozuna because Onosato was out. He's got this thing where he is trying. Everyone says he's not really Yokozuna. He goes out and he tries to be Yokozuna and then he gets hurt. Well, now he got hurt. He's not a real Yokozuna because real Yokozuna don't get hurt, which is a load of crap. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He'll never be good enough. As soon as I don't know where he is on the acceptance of that, but as soon as he does accept it, and maybe that's now, the better off he'll be. Yay, 42 opinions. I love mid-basho content. Yeah, we do it for the love of the sport. Army, he has a strong sense of duty since Onosato was absent, but dang, I really wish he didn't. Yeah, I wish he didn't either. But he would have been, why aren't you killing yourself out there? Keep in mind that in a culture like Japan, that's dominated by what the group thinks, you're going to feel a lot more pressure than in a country like America where it's like, I do what I want. I don't know if we can actually understand and relate to social pressures in the same way as someone living in Japan. Yeah, ShiShi often doesn't seem concerned with the whole keep the other guy from falling out of the ring stuff. Yeah, I don't care for that myself. I that's why I said he's Lennie. He's capable of really, really hurting someone, and I think guys have got to watch out for that. But I think Hoshoryu did that because of the Yokozuna standards, plus Onosato wasn't on tour. Yep, I kind of covered that, and so did you. ShiShi's got a genuine aggression problem when he's losing and can't get things turned around. Yeah, and that really sucks for someone like Fujinokawa, who's just so much smaller than him. Like, he was defenseless on that last push. I was really scared that he hit the back of his head on the ground. And don't be too surprised if you find out he does have a concussion. I don't think Asashoryu would be complaining if the Yokozuna dropped out before the basho. I think his frustration is that they chose to compete but obviously aren't fit. Like I said, the Emperor was coming, and the Emperor wants to see the Yokozuna, so they've got to come in and fight for that, but they weren't in good shape. You really are between a rock and a hard place. And once again, they are modern men. Modern men are used to talking about their feelings. They're used to being honest in interviews, putting their stuff out on social media. We are encouraged in this modern era to talk more than any other era in the history of the world. And whether you mean to or not, you end up doing it. So, yeah. But then they're also expected to maintain the tradition and show up because they're Yokozuna. I think they're kind of confused as to what they should actually do. The injury culture feels like ancient tradition, but it's not. It's new since 2003, bring back public injury list. Yeah, I'm a little confused, honestly. I know that it was getting abused, but I mean, if you have a certain injury, shouldn't that be an automatic, like, yeah, you can go on the injury list? If it's iffy or questionable, you just deny it. How about that? Me and Army share a brain. That clip of Hakuho draining his knee before the last basho, crazy. There's a clip. I don't want to see it. It's in his documentary. I must have seen that at some point, because I did see the documentary, but I don't remember seeing that. I just remember in the documentary about him talking about the blood in his lungs. I don't think I would care about Uncle's thoughts whether he was pushed out of sumo for being a horrible person. I really hate how Asa acts, but I still can't help but kind of love him. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with him too, because he was a badass in the ring. And there is something attractive about that. If you're watching sumo, you want to see a fight. You want to see dominant winning. That's why we even have these debates. But the kind of guy who dominates in the ring is probably pretty aggressive outside of the ring. You can't just turn that off. And that's another thing. People complain, like, he looks mean in the ring, or he's not great outside. He didn't take a picture or whatever. But then you expect him to be an absolute monster in the ring? That's not how it works. You can't just turn that off. Like, what do you actually want? Do you want them to not be human beings? Do you want them to be a certain way in the ring and then be the other way when you see them out in the street? Like, they're fighters. You know? Even in his own era, Hakuho's mentality was another level. He's just one of those once-in-a-lifetime people, and it all comes from the brain. The brain and the heart, right? Even though it's still the brain. He had the desire, and he had the brain. And he just worked on the physical. He made the physical happen. He was not a specimen. He made that happen. A lot of these guys in sumo today, they just don't have the mental toughness for it. Not if we're comparing. Only in comparisons would I say that. They've got to want it so much that they can end their career. And then you're lucky if you don't. That was Taka Keisho, and look what happened to him. He literally could have died out there with the neck injury. He still kept fighting until it was physically not possible. I bet you he probably misses sumo, but he's probably really, really happy that he's not out there destroying his body anymore. Uncle definitely isn't the life example to follow. Yeah, I would agree. Asashuri was kicked out because he punched a Yakuza member in a taxi. The facts are muddled, but almost suspiciously so. There's no way we have that whole story. No way. And I don't want to know the whole story. The point is, if you're hanging out with certain people, things are going to happen. So, I mean, that's one way to be, a hard ass in the ring, right? Doing all this other stuff outside of the ring. You think Hoshoryu's doing stuff like that? I don't think so. You think Onosato is living a lifestyle like that? No. They're not Asashuryu. They never will be. And so hopefully they'll never get kicked out. Also, he was kicked out for butting heads with the JSA one too many times. They didn't like him because he didn't agree with them, so they jumped at the first chance. Well, we've heard that story before. That is something that happens. Hakuho and Asashuri would definitely be the exact same. Yeah. You take those two guys, they are who they are. You throw them in any era, they'd be exactly the same way. Man, I wish he didn't do that. 25 Yusho without a full career. Maybe the undisputed GOAT wouldn't be so undisputed. Guaranteed Hakuho doesn't have the records he has if Asashoryu stayed in. And it would have made things very interesting. If the JSA don't like you, there's no future for you in sumo. He stood out too much. Once again, so we're talking about this, right? Why are these guys listening to the JSA tell them they should be in there and fight? Why are they listening to Hakaku's comments? Why are they listening to Asashoryu publicly shame them? Because if you stand out for the wrong reasons, you're done too. There's a tremendous amount of pressure to live in this community sort of thinking, but also be an individual who can stand on top of the sport. It's really a difficult thing to do. And if you stand out too much, you get kicked out. They're being asked to do many things that don't jive with each other. And so that's why you get very confused people who are in the ring when they shouldn't be in the ring, who are out of the ring when maybe they should be in the ring, who say things they shouldn't say 1 minute and then don't say enough the next minute. They're not sure who they're supposed to be because the standards are not consistent. I wonder how much more we don't know about. He was the bad boy of sumo, no telling. And Japan wouldn't want you to know the story either, because it would bring scandal on sumo. He could have been doing all sorts of things we'll never know about. And I don't want to know about. Other guys too, because it doesn't look good. So if you got kicked out, like, how much worse was it actually? Let's not forget that modern surgery is getting better and better. Sports science is a legitimate field that is improving everything into sports. So it should be much easier to let them get healed. Yeah, and there shouldn't even be a debate about it. It should be like, oh, torn meniscus, let's take care of that. Oh, popped out shoulder, let's take care of that. Okay, these guys are going to be out for a little while and they'll be back. Meanwhile, Aonishiki, come on, boy. You got this. Kotozakura, come on, you got this. That's the point of having the other guys behind them. But no, we can't. We're working together until we have to fight each other. Yeah, we won't ever know the full story. Same with Haruma Fuji. Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah. That story, we did not get the full or real story, in my opinion. I haven't said much because I feel like I've already said my piece, but I'm not convinced people are just softer because the next generation's always softer. It's the culture of the time. I didn't say always softer. I'm making a comment of people were, I can say from experience, people were pretty hard and unconcerned about others in the 80s and 90s. I don't know the reasons why. I can't opine on that. But there was a hardness that has softened quite a bit. And that's not always a bad thing. There was a cruelty that, you know, people started to acknowledge as time went on. But there's a flip side to it too. Sometimes that soft compassion isn't good either. Sometimes you need the tough love. I don't think we should be necessarily praising Hoshoryu and Onosato and saying you've done nothing wrong and you're perfect and you're beautiful. And I think they should get tough love, but there's got to be a balance to it. If you are injured, it should be taken care of. And then we get to the tough love phase after the fact. They deserved all the criticisms they got for giving up kimboshis before the injuries. So there's a balance between toughness that's justified and just unrealistic expectations. In my opinion. These are all my opinions. You can disagree. Okay, I admit I was wrong. No Urayusho this time, but next time he's got this. I'm talking it into existence. Someday. I love Hoshoryu so much. I love Hoshoryu too. I'm a little scared at this point with the injury that we may never get a Yusho from him. I hope that's not his future. I hope he doesn't fight to the point where he gets injured and he's done. And then people talk about how, oh, he was the Yokozuna that never got a Yusho. It's like, I don't want that for him. I will join you on that, army. Didn't expect Chura to be hanging in this level. Pleasantly surprised. He's a tough one. He really, really cares about the sport. He's really smart about things. If he's in decent shape, he's in it. But he is getting up there in age, so this might be one of his best basho that's left in him. Haha, ShiShi is Lennie. It's true. You're not going to be able to see it now. It's hard to turn off the aggression, be 100% in win at all cost mode, then go down to 0 at the moment his opponent loses. It's a lot harder than we think. It is a lot harder than... It's crazy. It's crazy the expectations that we put on people. But once again, I'm not against tough love. I'm not against criticism. I just think that maybe we go too extreme all the time. We're either really, really, really soft on someone or we're unnecessarily cruel. And there's no middle ground that is based off of common sense decisions. Because there is no common sense anymore. That's a different debate. Yeah, it's 100% possible Onosato and Hoshiryu are imposing it all on themselves just because of social expectation. That is another thing. Okay, so it's sort of connected. Hakuho did, because I've seen enough documentaries, so I feel confident in saying the things I say about Hakuho. I've seen him say it in his own words. Hakuho did care what other people thought a lot, to the point where it hurt his feelings. But he just channeled all of that into something to go in the ring and just win. Every time I win, I shut those people up. Hoshiryu and Onosato, they care. They care about... It feels like they care about what people think based on the answers that they give. And so they are putting extra pressure on themselves, which is not helping. It's not helping their situation. To some degree, I feel like Hakuho could turn it off or focus it into, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat this guy. And that's how I'm going to prove myself. I feel like when Hoshiryu and Osato try to do that, it doesn't always work. Can't believe Emperor missed Dohyo Iri and we didn't get special rituals. Invited friends over to watch. Oh, that stinks. I've heard it was the princess who wanted to come see the sumo. She went once in 2006 as a little girl and loved Asashiryu. I feel a little bad for her. Oh, that's sad. Because here's Hoshiryu and it didn't go so well. If they do implement the Kosho system again, we need an actual professional to confirm all the injuries, and it should be the same group of doctors for everyone. Yeah, there's a way to standardize this to make it so that there isn't abuses again. It makes zero sense when you don't have that many sumo wrestlers joining anymore to let your top guys end their careers early. How many more Hanka? Over or under 4 more? Personally, I don't mind it unless it's in a playoff, then it bothers me. I mean, Abi alone could do 4 more Hankas before this tournament is over. I'm going to say 4 or more. There was too much under the table wheeling and dealing and it got abused. Yeah, I feel like there were... You can abuse it in the sense that you could pay a doctor to say you have a certain injury. And I wouldn't put it past anybody. I think abuses are inevitable. So you have to ask yourself, what's the better option? Some abuses to the system or guys losing their careers over injury? I don't know. Are we talking in one day, Army? I don't know. Abi and Waka Bros might do 4 more by themselves. Look at that. Basically thinking the same thing as me. Those rascally brothers. Takekeisha's wife is also definitely glad he's not out there. Yeah, especially considering that her Ozeki father died at 47. Like I said, the price to pay for those guys being tough as nails and out there beating each other up and going out there without fixing their injuries is that a lot of them died really young. So on one hand, what is reasonable to expect from someone in a fight? Are you expected to push yourself to the limits to be the absolute best fighter and then lose your life or not? That is a philosophical question. It is highly entertaining for us to see the best fights, but were they worth it for the person at the end of their life? I don't know. For some people, certainly not. The Mitake Yumi Henka did surprise me. Surprised me too. But you know what? I'm going to let him have whatever he wants. Can we just say Hakuho was a generational Rikishi and not necessarily that the current don't have it? Plenty of other stars that weren't Michael Jordan. I think to some degree we should say that. I mean, like I said, there is a discussion to be had about these guys are definitely different than the guys of the past. But Hakuho definitely was a generational Rikishi that no one should be compared to. Really enjoyed the crowd not liking the Hankas. Yeah, the crowd's been pretty fun. Sometimes I wish the MLB and NFL had the strict parameters of sumo. Ain't no way domestic abusers, guys with multiple DUIs should be allowed to play. There's a flip side for you. So, like, in American sports, you can do all kinds of stuff and you don't get kicked out, like, if it's off the field. Sumo wrestlers, like, I'm not saying they don't do it. It's just they certainly don't parade it around like it's something good. Don't listen to be like Hakuho. Gone. Exactly. What's Hoshoryu going to do? Nah, man. I'll do what I want. Oh. Are you? Okay, we're going to erase you from sumo history. We already told you you don't deserve to be Yokozuna even though we're the ones who promoted you. But guess what? You say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, you're erased. Might add a little pressure to you. Hakuho has announced he's going to be at Terunofuji's haircutting ceremony. Goes to show how Hakuho just got kicked out for being too independent. Yeah, the rumor mill says that Hakuho and Terunofuji had a phone conversation. Once again, Hakuho proves he is one of a kind. He can be in the most bitterest fights, but he still knows how important networking is and keeping your friends and not making too many enemies. Certain people you're not going to be able to avoid being enemies with. Hakaku doesn't like him. Never going to change. But Terunofuji, of course he's going to respect Hakuho, even if there's things about him that rubs him the wrong way. I told you Hakuho and Teru are buddies. Hakuho also talked to Teru and they agreed that when Miyagi-No comes back, the Rikishi will go back to Ho. I did hear that in the rumor mill. Boy, Bob said that Ryuden is right there on the domestic abuse front. Yeah, I've heard some bad things about Ryuden. I did try to read some stuff, but there's a tricky thing right there where you don't know if the translation's right or wrong. You don't know he said, she said, but it sounds like Ryuden has been involved in some bad stuff. I really thought Ono was sitting out on day 10. He looked like he was in too much pain on day 8. Shocking to see him in there. Shocking in the sense that you can tell the guy shouldn't be in there. But not shocking because everyone was talking so much crap, so feels like he needs to be there. I mean, a Tommy Fuji double Kimboshi. Yeah, there's a flip side to that. I mean, obviously he got the Kimboshi because the Yokozuna are not in top form. But Tommy Fuji was supposed to be a really talented guy. He looked great. Right up until he lost the playoff with Takekeisho. Like, something happened after that, and I really think it was a confidence issue. There's skill and talent in there that's not always coming out. So you got to give him some credit for putting in the effort. Hoshoryu 13 and Osato 9. Golden Stars. Yeah. Yep. I would like to see if somebody can look it up how many Terunofuji gave up in his career. Kind of curious. Touche monster, but that's one example. NFL has 20. Yeah, it's all... I'd say the NHL seems to have the least amount of it, but it happens in the NHL. But NFL, MLB, NBA, full of it. I still wish for a big Papi Yusho before his career is over, but I think that ship has sailed. I know, but every time we think there's no possible way, he somehow finds a way to stay in, at least within touch of the Yusho. It's kind of interesting. Be right back. Gotta check Asano Fuji's Jonokuchi match. 1 versus 20, but there's a lot more football players than Rikishi in the top 2 divisions. Not to mention, we know there's still a lot of effort to work out scandals before they're public. Yeah, 2 good points there. There is a vastly more football players than sumo wrestlers, and we're not hearing about all of them doing scandalous things. It's really just the certain guys that stand out. And the flip side is not all sumo guys get their scandals exposed. It all depends on factors we're not privy to. Boy, he's sure gentle with these old guys. Who are we referring to? I know it's wrong, but I love the humility in the injury system. Like the match, the sumo is more important than the individual. It doesn't matter why. If you're not there, it's a loss. It's like ego death. Well, that goes hand in hand with the whole, collectivist culture versus the individual. They're all individuals in the sport, but they're all working together to produce something that's ultimately to entertain the fans. Sumo, like as a long-standing tradition, was a ritual to drive out the demons. And it still kind of has that, but nobody's really ritual or religious anymore in that culture. But the fans still look to sumo to be sort of, something bigger than themselves. So it's supposed to help society as a whole. Take a back seat in the whole way that they're taught. So it's almost like you're selfish if you get surgery because the fans aren't going to get to see you wrestle. I also enjoy the high moral standards. It's refreshing. Humility is underrated. All very much agree with you guys. Agreed, Monster. Modesty is too hobbob. In today's world, modesty is the lost art. Bring back humility. Bring back modesty. Bring back some sort of moral standard. It'd be fantastic. I'd be actually stoked if American sports did a blanket social media ban like sumo. It might actually help them concentrate more. Everyone would freak out. It'd be hilarious. No goose tonight must be working. How do you know there's no goose tonight? Did they go on super early or something? Asahi Fuji, the strongest recruit in sumo history, is very gentle with the guys. Oh, okay, you were talking about him. That's nice. See, there's some respectable behavior right there. He's not trying to hurt nobody. He knows he's strong. 53 Kimboshi. Terunofuji gave up 53. All right, so there's a situation in which Hoshuri and Onosato heal from their injuries and they stop giving up Kimboshi. And then maybe they'll have less than Terunofuji by the end of their career. Do we trust Google's AI? No. H. Tim says no. Monster says no. The most important question, how are you doing, Maria? Life getting better for you? Hope so. I hope so, too. Just had some illness troubles in the family. So hopefully that's all resolving itself. But I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen. These things are kind of unpredictable. And it causes me a lot of trouble. Hold on one moment, guys. I got to check something. Hey, Adam. Little Adam's coming down the stairs crying. I am. I ran away from it, not talking at all. I can send him to the basement if you want. Okay, Daddy said go to the basement. Watch him play. Speaking of which, that's my life. It's getting better. I've been caught up with sumo. I think everything's going to be okay. Okay. Asahi Fuji, Isagahama's golden boy who couldn't join pro for foreigner rule. Clips of him throwing around Haku, Midori, Itami, Yoshi. He's so hyped they gave him the Asahi Fuji Yokozuna Shikona. Yes, I have heard all about him. I have not seen these clips, though. I would love to see those. Watch day one match one of Jonokuchi was great. Okay. Like and subscribe. Agree. Let's do that. I am caught up, or I wouldn't be able to do this. I thought Fujinokawa would get slapped around this basho. Really impressive stuff. Hope to see a few more wins. Send him into the Joey next time. I thought so too. I'm pretty impressed and pleased by his performances. She's caught up. We need more comments. He's my king. I'm so happy he's fighting well. Hang in there, sorry. Yeah, these things happen. It'll be okay. Okay, let's see. I counted manually on Sumo DB. It's 22 Kimboshi given up by Terunofuji. Yeah, I thought 53 seemed kind of high. According to Sumo Stats Query, Kitanomi gave up 58, Wakanohana 53, Hanamafuji 45, Hakuho 31, Asashoryu 30, and Terunofuji 27. That fits more to what I would expect. Do you talk about Hakuho and Teru mending the bridge? We have discussed that. We might see Enho as Miyagi no Oyakata with the boys back. I think the fact that it sounds like Teru asked them about the name change. He let Enho keep his. It sounds like he was trying to keep things good with Hakuho anyway. I think they will mend the bridge. I think it'll be fine. I don't think we were ever high on him in the first place, but why does Gonoyama suck so much? I don't know. Maybe the better question is, was he ever as good as we thought? Is this just what his level is? Again, according to Sumo Stats Query for Kimboshi. Perfect. Glad it seems your family's feeling better. I'm a little worried about the little guys this tournament. Asakuri was doing the Midori Fuji, Tobizaru all less than even right now. The little guys have always got to be concerned because at any given moment they can be sent flying and get really, really hurt. Aren't there additional conditions to meet to be a stable master in addition to the ones being an Oyakata? I don't know. I mean, I would assume so. Because being the master is very different than just being someone who trains wrestlers at the dojo, the Yohu. Enho is 5-0. If he can get another Kachikoshi, he'll get to Juryo and be eligible for Oyakata status. I am very, very excited about that. I did see that. I want that for him so bad. My family is all sick. Glad to hear yours is getting better. Well, some are getting better. Some are not. So that's why I said I don't know if I'm better. I'm okay. I was talking to you saying the Maria way to like and subscribe. Do the plug. Do the plug. Okay, fine. I'll do the plug. I feel like I should prepare these in advance because then I could get bug 0 in, but I never am in the mode by the time you guys ask me to do the plug. If you enjoy watching Hakaku frown and be angry all the time, then you're definitely going to be a fan of 42 Opinion Sumo. So you should like, comment, and subscribe so that we can battle the evil, the horrible, the scary Bug 0, better known as Ono Sato. That was the best as I can do. 22 out of 154 bouts is Yokozuna, 14% Kimboshi rate. Yikes. That's pretty good. Quick, monster. We'll have to stall. I know, right? Cupping marks noted on Onokatsu and Takeda Fuji's back. Not necessarily uncommon. Yep, Wikipedia also says 22. What they say if IA makes Wiki look reliable. I don't know. Who's writing these things? Who's actually inputting this information? Somebody just like playing a horrible joke? Yes, I'm praying hard for Enho, Sweet Lotus Prince. He looks like he's gained quite a bit of weight since the last time I watched him. Enho versus Tochimaru, the very thrusty boy. Anyone watching the lower divisions? Any young stars coming that we should know about? Yes, please tell me. Anyone watching the lower... Oh, wait. Winner will fight either Fukai or Nobehara for the Makushita Yusho. Oh, yeah, we're getting very close to the lower division Yusho. Yes, the best plug in the business. It's certainly one of the more creative ones. Most people are just like, come on, you know you want to like and subscribe. I'm like so totally awesome, and you totally want to be around me. Oh, I love when Chairman Hakaku is angry. I better like and subscribe. If only you could like and subscribe more than once. Enho might be the shortest Oyakata. Ah, that would be fun, actually. But Ishira, pretty short himself. Cheering for Enho. Enho has learned how to stop hating rice and has passed 110 kilograms now. Valley Girl Maria is approved. You know, back in my day, the Valley Girl was the impression that you would do. Like, that's who you would be like. That was like the only voice I could do back in the day was the Valley Girl. She's so popular. These days, I don't know if the Valley Girl even exists. If I was an athlete, my job depended on it, I'd try cupping and acupuncture too. Yeah, I mean, you're not allowed to stay out for surgeries, so you're going to do whatever you can do. He's so cute. Are we talking about Enho? It's a good thing Goose wasn't around. He definitely wouldn't approve of the Valley Girl. Okay, I'll quickly speak about my hero for Bob's sake. Bob, that was a very, very satisfying and well done ending to an anime. It's been a very long time since I felt like an ending was done so right. It pretty much hit all the points it was supposed to hit, all the feelings it was supposed to hit. The soundtrack is phenomenal. I'm still listening to the soundtrack now. Bought it from Japan. Yeah, if you're gonna write a series, that is the way to end it. Like, every episode was like heart pounding. Don't forget, there is an additional episode coming out in May. Very glad they didn't kill All Might. His last fight was the chef's kiss. They did a fantastic job with him. I realized that All Might is Japan's version of Superman, and I think they did it justice. Now that the show's over, I'm like, man, All Might really was a cool character. He was an awesome hero. So I did start watching Vigilantes, and I only watched one episode, but I liked it. I'm hoping there's more All Might in Vigilantes. Let's see. How about a moment's sympathy for Ichi Yamamoto? He's looking good, but just not nearly as good as anyone above him. I was kind of figuring this would happen to him, that he wasn't quite ready yet.
Go upstairs then.
I just hurt myself. Okay. I didn't think Ichi Yamamoto was ready. He's going to learn a lot from this. Let's see if he can make another comeback. I'm still rooting for him. Sumo recovery is interesting. Kimbozan gets very rough foot massages. Konishiki used to have a doctor put a burning needle up his bum. What? Okay. That's crazy. Thank you, Maria, for showing up even with the life struggles. Yeah, the life struggles are getting a little rougher. I'm probably going to leave in a minute, but I want to try to get through these comments. Oh, Monster, if I had the option to believe in magic to make myself feel better, I'd be getting it too. Yeah, I mean, I fought for about 2 months without being able to walk because I was really close to that next belt promotion and I didn't want to mess with it. And after I got the belt, I literally couldn't walk the next day. And I'm like, I actually have to have this done. I can't believe how much pain I was in and I was still out there fighting. I would kick somebody and the pain would shoot all the way up from my foot into my spine. I was questioning myself every day. But if you really love what you're doing and you're really shooting for certain goals, you'll do it. Wait, what was that about? Aonishiki, yeah, we don't need to hear about that again. Very glad they didn't kill All Might. His last fight was the chef's kiss. I read that already. Monster, there's a 3-part documentary in the Hawaiians and Sumo. That's where Aonishiki says that. Oh my god, that's so disturbing. Vigilantes is goated. Vigilantes is so good. I love Knuckle Duster. Knuckle Duster's an interesting character, I have to say. Enjoy the conversation, everyone. Thank you. Hi, new to getting into viewing sumo. Any tips or places or people I should follow and know about? There's lots and lots of tips we could give you there. Check out the Sunday Morning Sumo Show. That'll be the first one I say. NHK World Japan is a free app. You can watch the highlights. They're a day behind, but you can also watch it live on that app. Plus, they have lots and lots of things for learning about sumo. So I highly recommend NHK World Japan. Sumo Primetime on YouTube. And then there's tons of Japanese ones. If you go into our subscriptions, you might see some of them, but that's where we catch a lot of stuff. And then obviously it's cool that you're here. When we do live streams and stuff, we can point you to other things. That's my quick lowdown. You guys put stuff in the chat as well. Thank you for coming here. Appreciate it. Musashimaru, I didn't do nothing to my body right after Aonishiki says he got burning needles up the bum. Yeah, I mentioned they tried a lot of stuff. My only other stalling tactic left is the promotion picture, but it's really boring. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Ichi definitely isn't a Maegashira. No, he's Maegashira 1. He's not ready. That doesn't mean he won't be. He's not ready right now. Stay strong, Army. Hello, Victor. Are you enjoying Furen? Still only watched 1 episode. I got to get back to it. You know what I ended up doing? I always do this. I started rewatching Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple. I really love that show. I felt like I had to rewatch it. But I will get back to Furen. And like I said, I just started Vigilantes. Do you think we end up in a playoff? Does anyone have guesses for how many, 2 or 3? All I have in my mind is Aonishiki and Kirishima. So, I don't know. Maybe we get an Abi in there, a Tommy Fuji. Namatami just took the first L impressed by Hana no Sumi. With the stiff competition at the top, do you see many Yusho wins going over 13 plus wins this year? If the Yokozuna are down, the only one capable of doing it is Aonishiki. So I don't think we're going to get a ton. Victor, watch Sumo Stew. Yes, Sumo Stew. All the Sumopedia episodes. The Sumopedia episodes are on NHK World Japan. You'll be more than knowledgeable than the average sumo Redditor. Yeah, don't go to Reddit. You're not ready for that. You won't know what to trust. We can go to Reddit because we know what sounds ridiculous and what doesn't. Hana no Fuji is former Sekitori. Not surprised he beat Namatomi. Thanks for the tip. Bob Gob, I'm waiting for a few dubbed episodes to come out, but I'm looking forward to Furen. Cool, didn't know he looked so small. Assumed he was a young guy. We are the least toxic sumo community online. Just stick with us, Victor. You know, I agree with that. We're not perfect, but we're not toxic. Em, are you watching Furen dub or sub? I've only seen the sub. JJ and Sumo Spiffy have the best match analysis, and Spiffy is also the best videos for understanding the Banzuke. Yes, definitely go to Sumo Spiffy. Even though half the time I mention him, I'm complaining. He knows his Banzuke stuff. Stall. Does that work? Chat thoughts on Leo Dixon Sumo. I don't know too much about Leo Dixon Sumo. And I'll say the Sunday Morning Sumo Show approached me. So it's the only reason I ever found out about them. I don't seek out other sumo channels. Sunday Morning Sumo Show channel is where you can see JJ's analysis. Yes, there's some excellent videos that JJ has put together. Maybe Koto sneaks in the playoffs. Koto may sneak in the playoffs. Dandan Sumo does actual breakdowns of the top fights. I love Dandan. Leo has the best live stream if you don't have a VPN to just use a Bema because you have the option for no commentary version. My videos are focused on guys making their divisional debut in the top division. Excellent stuff. And the bashos that get them there. So they are perfect for you, Victor, as you're trying to learn. They will point out every little thing that is important for you to understand as a new sumo fan. Leo's fine. He's just a regular sumo fan, pretty knowledgeable, but isn't conceited. Good stream. I'm watching the stream. His stream this basho. I like the commentary. JJ makes quality videos. Leo's our competition. I don't talk good or ill of him because it's not my place. People watch Goose NRI or they won't. Well, you guys are doing pretty well lately. Getting lots of views. Getting those views. Goose is an acquired taste. Even Goose would probably tell you that he's an acquired taste. We just do commentary around here. Goose is for real an acquired taste. You gotta have banter culture. Yes. But, that is what an individual is, right? An individual is somebody who stands out so much that you either love them or you don't. Gonna need to make a list. Thanks for all the help, guys. No problem. Goose is 100% Australian and 100% Sundir. Love it. Hoshiryu or Onosato? My bad. Goose is feeling ill because ShiShi is 8-2. Yeah, it's not sitting too well with Goose. Him not being a large ShiShi fan. Leo is just for people banned from midnight streams. Like I said, I don't spend too much time on any other sumo channels because I gotta run my own and I don't want to be influenced by other ones. But Sunday Morning Sumo guys are the ones who first invited me, and so we keep that great relationship and we go on each other's channels and it's been great. Has someone done a mental health check on Goose? That's JJ. Sumo Files is good. Jackie Sumo is very new and focused on short form updates for news and stuff. Any news on my books? Unfortunately, no. I'm at the mercy of those who are publishing, so I'll let you know. I kind of can't control any part of it at this point. Wait, WTF, it's just in your playlists. What's in my playlist? What's happening? Watching people cheering for Hoshiri being injured is disgusting. Same if it's Onosato. For all the things I said about the previous culture being cold and hard and this one being nicer, there is a flip side to that. People are kind of twisted these days. It's like the internet makes them think that nothing is real, so it's okay to just say and do horrible things. So maybe I take that part back. There are very little standards for moral appropriateness towards other people. And I have no time or patience for you rooting for somebody to be injured. He's a human being. There are people I don't like in the world. I don't wish for them to ever be harmed in any way. So those people have got to grow up. Just recently started following Sumo Files, great concise content. I have not heard of Sumo Files, actually. Just in the playlist, you can also join our Discord to get the stream archive. As if I care about Goose's mental health. He wouldn't expect you to. Yes, you aren't missing anything. Stay here. Why, thank you. After all the stress he gives me, please. It's open season, I guess. Yay, Sumo Files is another good channel. JJ, how has it been since Goose shaved? Basically, Goose grew back a ton of hair in like a day. I like his recaps, stay of. I wouldn't say that to either of them face to face. You shouldn't say, if it's something you wouldn't say to someone's face, you should just never say it ever. He's been fine. Who is cheering for that? It's horrible. Sumo Files is what got me into sumo. Oh, awesome. Don't forget Let's Learn Sumo. I love his podcast. There's quite a few out there. There's more out there than I even realized. Suddenly they'll pop up in my algorithm. Okay, this new YouTube format doesn't tell me how long I've been here, but I know it's 5 minutes to 11, so I'm going at 11. You guys have a 5-minute warning. Rapid fire anything you want to say. Let's Learn Sumo also comments on Sunday Morning Sumo Show. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I just didn't recognize the channel, but I think I know who we're talking about. I have to go to my computer to join your Discord. A mobile link doesn't work from channel description. All Australian sumo content is great. Well, what's nice about the Australians is that they're right there. And they get to watch it on prime time. Watch Uma Musume. Never heard of that one. Oh yeah, can't forget Let's Learn Sumo. On Crunchyroll. Oh, now we're talking about anime. Okay. 142. Okay, who's the current underdog to watch? At least for winning the Yusho, I guess you could say Atami Fuji would be the biggest underdog, but like just in general, keep your eye on Yoshino Fuji. Keep your eye on Fujinokawa, but I think he's going to have a lower ceiling than Yoshino Fuji. I think most people would agree with that. Pizza or burgers? Why not both? Pancakes or waffles? Pancakes. Anything in the basho to discuss? When is the next live stream? It will be tomorrow. Taco or burrito? Both. You could try the most recent breakdown video. I think I've got a link that doesn't expire. Not 11 here. Underdog like how? Black Horse, Yusho contender, disappointing former prospect, old guy salaryman. Waffle. Will you be my Valentine? I will be Sumo's Valentine. I will be Sumo fans' Valentine. Burrito. Atami Fuji, I think, is a dark horse, but very possible. Fujinokawa. No one tries as hard. Salsa or guacamole? Salsa. These are easy. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. You have 3 minutes. You are Mrs. Sumo, thus you are Sumo's Valentine. See? There you go. I am Sumo's gift to the world. Although, there are some people who don't care for the ladies doing sumo commentary. I've noticed that. Pepperoni or sausage on a pizza? Pepperoni. Pepperoni all day long. But I love sausage. Just not on... I don't love it on pizza the way I love pepperoni on pizza. Fuji, no. Who? There's so many Fujis. Only one who starts with Fuji. That's true. Most of them are on the end. They are suffixes, not prefixes. What got you into sumo and who's your favorite sumo? What got me into sumo is I've been into Japanese culture a long time. I've been into martial arts culture a long time. I didn't know sumo was still a thing. I knew it existed at some point, but I thought actually it had ended. And one day I went to a very cool Japanese grocery store and I saw NHK World Japan on and I saw sumo highlights and I was like, oh, sumo's still around. That's amazing. So it was a natural thing. Like if I knew sumo had existed at any point in the past, I would have watched it. I used to be a big WWF fan, so I liked, that kind of wrestling. I've just always been into this kind of stuff. Favorite kind of sandwich? Italian mix. Best mawashi color and who wears it best? Okay. It's the purple. The purple with the blue hue. Takakeisho, baby. Player. Favorite. So favorite of all time is Takakeisho. Current favorite, Hoshoryu. At least until Fuji Ryoga inevitably makes it. Yeah, I mean, we've got some guys coming up, but I don't like to talk about it as much as the chat should. If you throw a rock at all the sumo wrestling standing together, you have an 80% chance of hitting a Fuji. Interesting. Fuji Ryoga and Fuji Seiyun about to make things a lot more confusing. Hakuho brown, best color. Pepperoni is a sausage, just saying. Yeah, well, it's a different type of sausage then. Sumo is very popular with the ladies. Yeah, but it's not very popular for ladies to be commentators. I thank you all for appreciating me. Every time I'm sick, I think of sumo. One time I was sick and randomly thought of it, looked it up, saw Sumo Jason, the rest is history. Yeah, check out Sumo Jason too. He was one of my first channels. When is the stream before you head out? It will be tomorrow night around 9:15. Alex, you are correct. Pink Ura always. Yes. Let's do Pink Ura always. Favorite burger, restaurant, fast food place? Oh, God, I don't know. That one's tough. I mean, I don't know. That one's a tough one. I like burgers at taverns or pubs or whatever. But like, if I have to get a fast food burger, it'd be Wendy's. Ura Cherry Blossom Pink. I think we can go with that as my number 2. If Takakeisho didn't come in with that awesome purple, there'd be no competition. Like, statistically, it's kind of a girl's hobby in Japan. I think among foreign fans, there's a lot more guys because MMA and other fighting culture is super popular with the young guys. That's a good point. First female member of the Yokozuna Deliberation Council passed away recently. She was a harsh critic of Asashuryo, but they made up before her death. Oh, that's sad. Thanks for the stream, Big M. You're welcome, JJ. Maria rocks. Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Army. Kotsuzakura mint is high up there for me. I have to give you that. We'll give that number 3. Peppermint or spearmint? Spearmint. Tea or coffee? Tea. I hate coffee. In fact, I don't drink any caffeine at all. How I survive in this world, I don't know. I only sleep 5 or 6 hours a night, and I don't consume any caffeine at all. Something wrong with me. Favorite tea? There is a lavender tea. Lavender tea is my favorite. Earl Grey would be my second favorite. Decaf Earl Grey. I don't like caffeine. You guys took me over 2 minutes. Okay, any last questions? Yes, no caffeine in my entire life. I consumed it once. I didn't like how I felt. I think I was like 20-something. I didn't like how I felt. So no caffeine in my entire life after that. Good night. You would die without caffeine. I would die with it. So, yeah, I can never enter into that world of caffeine drinkers. I don't understand it. What is my least favorite food? Soggy cereal. Favorite soda or no soda? I love soda, but it's not good for you. So my favorite soda is grape soda, but I do not drink soda anymore. No questions. Have a great night. Have a great night, Victor. Time tomorrow, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. See you at the next stream. See you then. How do you feel about the fall of Constantinople? I feel that it's a complex issue that people who are more in tune with historical documents should answer. Cereal or milk first? Cereal first, then milk, but lots of milk. REP Constantinople, 1453, never forget. Bob is qualified to talk about this. Bob is a history teacher, I believe. Do you actually teach it? I think you're a history major. I know all about that, teaching my students about it this year. See, I know. Oh, I'm a coward because I put the cereal first? You don't know. What about the Roman Empire? Love the Roman Empire. Just love the Roman Empire. See, I remembered, Bob. I actually am reading a historical fiction right now about the Roman Empire. Always fascinated me. Always. Fall of the Roman Empire was 476, not in the 410s. This is very important to note. Bob, whenever I have history stuff, I'm going to you. Unlike what everyone says. Well, I know it was a sort of slow decline due to indulgence and kind of not paying attention, just thinking that it would always be okay. Nah, because you don't just spew whatever comes to mind. Oh, I do sometimes, and I do about sumo, and then I get in trouble. There's a really good detective series set in the Roman Republic leading into the Roman Empire, like 12 books. Ooh, that sounds good. I like the old Greek stuff, too. I was really into Greek mythology a long time ago. I knew everything about it. I feel like I'm forgetting a lot, but I actually have always been a big history fan. As you get older, you can't remember all the details. Slow decline, but the last Roman emperor was Romulus Augustus, disposed by I don't know how to pronounce that. Odoacer in 476, sent him to a monastery and built churches for the rest of his life. Interesting. I don't feel like we learn enough about the fall. Like, you get to a certain point and then they just move on to the next one. The first one is, the first book in that 12-book series. Yeah, I'm reading a pretty good book right now. It's very, very good. History was my absolute best class long ago. Favorite Roman emperor? I've always been partial to Julius Caesar. An absolute lunatic, but a Controlled lunatic. Do I like boba? I do not. The texture's weird. I think in theory I like the flavor, but the texture's weird. The King's Gambit by John Maddox Roberts. He also wrote a Conan the Barbarian series. History was my worst class, forced to study for it, and that's what made me interested. Ha! I like that story, Bob. That's some good origin right there. Julius Martineau Emperor, fake fan. Well, I guess, like everybody else, I'm attracted to the downfall of Julius Caesar. How do you not like boba? Boba tea is great. The texture's weird, man. My stalling statistics have run out. Good night. Yes, Army, but you have fueled all the others. Cincinnatus was my favorite. These days, I can't remember a lot of them. I remember, oh God, there were so many Caesars. There's one that's in my mind that is just popping. Like, I can't even remember the guy who betrayed Caesar anymore. That's terrible. There was a time where I could recite everything. I don't remember nothing anymore. Good night. Fun fact, emperor originated as a military term used to refer to a victorious general in battle. When they would win, they would proclaim the victorious general emperor. But I'm assuming they didn't actually get, like, what became the emperor's position. That, like, must have been a later thing, right? I can tell you a lot about Japan in World War II times. Bro gave up being an emperor to farm cabbage. That's the only way to live, man. Why be an emperor and be in charge of everything when you just farm cabbage? Yes, Brutus, see? Brutus, who killed Julius Caesar, was a descendant of the Brutus who killed the last Roman king. You really know your stuff, which I would hope so if you're teaching it. I can't believe I couldn't remember Brutus. There was a third man in this thing. What was his name? Who was the third man? Why can't I think of his name? It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. I can't think of his name. You know it. Fun fact, sumo rules. Hashtag true. Amen, Army. Who was the third guy in this consorted thing here with Brutus and Julius Caesar? What was his name? He was a general, I believe. Was it Mark Antony? I feel like I want to Google this, but I'm not gonna. Maybe it was, but I feel like I don't know if that's the guy I'm thinking of. See, this is bad. Give me a second to remember. Well, not tonight. Give me a second to remember everything. I'll bring some facts tomorrow. Because clearly, it was Abi. There we go. Clearly, I am not up on my Roman stuff right now. I used to know it all. Your mind really does go slippery when you get old. Abi's Hank is the Roman Empire. That's the real reason. Ask Tamawashi. He was around back then. Somebody should say, hey, Tamawashi, how do you feel about the Roman Empire? Same time tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. Yes, I confirm. I'm going to look it up. There was another person I'm thinking about. And then I'll be able to tell you the whole sordid tale once I get a refresher here. I just want to look it up now. Yeah, I'm totally doing it. I don't know if I'll get it because I don't know exactly how to search what I'm thinking in my head. Yeah, I'm not going to be able... I'm going to have to take some time to think about who this is that I'm thinking of. Anyway. All right, guys. You've stalled for way longer than I thought possible. You've done a fantastic job. I applaud you. We'll be back tomorrow night with the highlights. Will we have 2 Yokozuna tomorrow? Will we have 1 Yokozuna? Will there be 0 Yokozuna? Will Aonishiki continue to be the star that he is? Will ShiShi get a 9th win? Will Atami Fuji continue this stellar performance? Will Abi hankle the world? Fun fact, Constantine did not make Christianity Rome's official religion. It was Theodosius. Constantine merely proclaimed it would be tolerated. See, people don't always know. The Corvus is my favorite Roman invention. Corvus is a widely distributed what? I'm looking it up now. A Roman ship-mounted boarding device used during naval battles, particularly the First Punic Wars against Carthage. Oh, I used to know so much about the Punic Wars. I gotta do some studying up. You guys have got far more on me now than is tolerable. I want to fight the guys on that boat. I'm also happy to announce the 6-7 meme is nearly dead. Oh, good. Comment of the day. Give it to Hot Bob for being so smart about history. See? Everybody here is greatly talented. Tomorrow, maybe we can highlight something else. Who else has a special knowledge here? I could tell you a lot about the WWF. Not that anybody cares about that. I used to know so much about a lot of things. A lot about baseball, a lot about hockey, a lot about Roman wars. But now, I'm just tired. We expect a full TED Talk on the fall of the Roman Empire and how it relates to sumo. I'm sure there's a connection. I have many more facts, but I will save them for tomorrow. With that, I say, farewell, awesome sumo fans.